Practice versus theory, they are both completely different. I got really deep into coding and I built an entire app. Hello everyone, my name is Vasif Hassan. I am 22 and I have recently graduated from a law program, and I don't practice law and I don't even have a job right now, and you can call me unemployed at this point. But I have a piece of advice for you guys. If you are 16 right now, or maybe whatever age you are, and you are settled into a solid career and are considering shifting your career at this point, this video is going to help you think clearly about your career, what it is, and how you need to find things that you will enjoy as well as earn money out of it. First things first, let me give you a brief background about myself. After my A-levels, I enrolled in a law program because I'm in Pakistan. The law degree here is 5 years, a combined BA and LLB program. I wanted to pursue law as a career because I took A-level law and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I felt like law is going to be this exercise of critical analysis as we were required to do in A-level law. And when I actually started my degree, I realized that law is not what I expected it to be. It involves way more reading than I was comfortable with. It involved way more sitting through those lectures which I usually found boring. It's not that law is a bad degree. I just made a hasty decision about choosing my career as law, and as soon as I realized it put me in a long depressive episode. And while I'm still figuring it out, it made me learn a few key lessons which I think you could take advantage of and make a better decision for your own self. So your current situation might look something like this. You are 16 years old, you are thinking of going off to college, and you are concerned about choosing your college major, which would eventually lead to your long-term career. Or maybe you are a mid-career professional, have been settled into your job for a long time and you thoroughly enjoy it, but there's something missing there and you want to maybe shift careers, or literally any kind of situation that you could be in. There are multiple scenarios that could exist, and I would try to make this video as comprehensive for people in any kind of situation there. So what is career? Career is an occupation that you take up for a very long time, and it also provides you with opportunities for progress. So first thing here, when we are thinking about our career, we tend to think of it as a long-term job that we're going to take. And while it's true that it's a long-term job, it doesn't mean that it has to be the only job that you will ever be in, or it is going to be the only work that you are ever going to do. Career is not your job. It's not that you are a healthcare professional, that you are a legal professional, or maybe you are a content creator or things like that. Career is a bit more than that. In terms of over your entirety of life, which is, for example, if you're 20 right now and you have like a lifespan of suppose 60 years, then you still have 30 years, and in those 30 years you are probably not going to stick to one job. You are going to shift companies, or even you are going to shift careers, but you're not essentially shifting careers, you are expanding your career in a way. So for example, you are an accountant and you are not really happy with the kind of work you do, and you start to learn to code, and then you get a coding job. You work at a company as a software engineer for 5 years, and you have previously served as an accountant for another company for 5 years. So over these 10 years you have gained the experience of an accountant and a software engineer. Now when you move on to the next job, or maybe you want to shift your job now, or maybe you want to do a business on your own, now you have two skills under your belt, the accounting skill and the coding skill. This essentially opens a bigger path for you in terms of creating your own business, because now you have an expertise in accountancy and now you have an expertise in coding as well. You can combine these two to make a business out of it. You can create an app, or you could start an agency to automate accounting processes for different companies, or you might start a YouTube channel with your own personal brand, teaching people how to automate processes in accounting. So the first lesson that I want you to take is to not think of your career as one static job or even one static discipline, but think of it as a series of jobs or a series of actions or series of work that you're going to do, which will eventually build into something meaningful. And that leads me to the second point, is that you cannot choose a career without having a meaning in your life. And you start getting into the details of what meaning of life is, you would start thinking around in circles and you will not actually get anywhere, because life inherently does not have a meaning. If you sit down for a while and start thinking about what life actually means, you would eventually come up with things like maybe money, happiness, I don't know, things like that. And I can't give life a simple definition or the basic human experience, a simple definition. But what I can tell you is that it's up to you how to define the meaning of your life. And to be able to define the meaning of your life, you need to sort of think of it this way. Suppose that there is no worry on you in terms of money, time, commitments, responsibilities, etc. and you are a totally free being. What are you going to do with your time? Are you going to lie around? Are you going to go out and work on plantation drives or help out some non-governmental organization with some of their mission which resonates with you? Or are you going to sit inside and build things, or whatever you are going to do? Now, this inherent desire to do things that you love is essentially coming from your own meaning of life. So for example, if I talk about myself, my meaning of life is being free and being free to think creatively. That's why I am not in a job right now myself, and I am taking time off where I am exploring different creative fields and I am looking at the things that I could do rather than jumping into something just for the sake of money. Which leads me to the third point: money, finances. Money is a medium of exchange which you, for example, you trade money to get some goods or services, and finances is the overall heading under which you manage your money, right? So let's zoom out a bit for a second and look at what life is, not in terms of its definition but the parts of it. So if I were to be a bit more clear, I would put things a little differently, but I am going to talk about parts of life that you are supposed to actively manage on a daily basis. So these include your work, your finances, your family, your romantic life, your social life, and your health. And it was not in any particular order, but if I had to give something the biggest priority, it's going to be your health. Because if you are not clear here, if you're not free here, your body is going to feel restricted. You are going to always be low on energy, and it's always going to be hard to get out of bed and get to work or get to things that you like or mean something to you. I'm not saying money is not an important question. It is one of the most important questions in your life, that how are you going to source money to sustain your life and to improve your lifestyle to the point that you want to be at. But there is a little paradox here in terms of you need something which earns you good money, but you also need something that you thoroughly enjoy. Now the problem could become that the thing that you enjoy is not something which earns you good amount of money, and things that could earn you good amount of money are those things that you don't inherently enjoy. But whatever your situation is, whatever decision you are trying to take, try to think in terms of both the money and the enjoyment of work rather than just either the money or the enjoyment. You need to find something that you enjoy in your daily life. For example, you like to break apart things and rebuild them, which means you have kind of an engineer mindset, and you need to get into something where you would be given the opportunity to build things and you will be paid highly for it. So for example, you could build your coding skills or your hardware skills and join hands with someone and become the CTO of a startup, or go and work as a lead software engineer at some company. Or if you are very good at arithmetic and you enjoy the process of doing it, you could go and enroll in a school, learn accounting, and end up as an accountant in some good firm which pays you well for it. Or if you love to know about and deal with the intricacies of human body, you could choose the career of healthcare. Now, few of these options that I've laid out are high paying in terms of they would sustain a good lifestyle for you, but majority of the people when they are young, they are thinking in terms of money solely, and they're thinking, oh, if I become a doctor, I would be paid this amount of money, or if I become an engineer, I could earn this amount of money, or if I become an engineer, I could end up at this particular company and that's going to be it. I just want to get a FANG job, I want to end up at Google or Facebook, or I want to be a software engineer at Netflix. While those dreams are good and they are going to motivate you, they are not actually your long-term career. So if I take a step back here and go back to the definition of career, it is the work that you take for a long period of time, and it does not necessarily have to be the same kind of work. The work can change, but the period of time where you are working is essentially your career, right? So now the things to avoid here are not to think solely in terms of money and not to think solely in terms of things that you are going to enjoy, but think of both these things combined. And first, see the things that you enjoy in your daily life. See if there is a career that exists out there for those things, and even if it doesn't, make your own career. Which brings me to the fourth point now, which is the digital age. With the internet and this boom in AI, it has become very easy to create new careers. So for example, 10 years ago, video creation was not a full-time career. Most of the people who did it part-time or were not earning very good money out of it. But as soon as the internet progressed, digital video creation became a full-time job. People are content creators, they make videos and they earn decent amount of money out of it. But if you look at all these people who are earning decent amount of money in the digital age, they are not earning decent amount of money because they started things for money. They started creating videos, they started writing blogs about things that they love and things that they like to do, and these were the things that they actually like to do. They were not doing it for money. Now if you go to YouTube, you would see a big chunk of good quality content, and you'd also see a big chunk of bad quality content. Now these bad quality content people are earning some money out of it. For example, people who are copy pasting content or like copying others' way of speaking or others' content style or communication style, they are making some money out of it, but they would struggle to make a name for themselves or their own brand. Whereas the other people who are just doing what they love, they are more likely to develop a brand that is going to resonate with people because it's going to be original and authentic. So in this digital age, what matters the most is your authenticity, your originality, and your ability to sell yourself. Now selling yourself is not necessarily a bad thing, because whenever we hear the word of sell or selling or marketing, we tend to get defensive, like someone's trying to sell us something. But what's happening, like I am creating this video, some people are going to listen to it, and what are they trading? They are trading their attention, right? So the ability for me to sit here and put down my words in front of the camera and for my audiences to listen is also a skill which could come to you naturally, or which is something that you could learn. But it's an important skill in the digital age to be able to sit in front of camera and sell yourself. Or if you even remove the digital aspect here, even in the traditional sense, it is very important for you to be able to sit in front of, for example, an interviewer and be able to sell yourself. So the fourth thing that I would like to urge is that when you are thinking about your career in these days now, you need to be able to think about the digital aspect of it. The thing that you are doing or the career that you're going to pursue, is it something that could be sold digitally? And trust me, everything can be sold digitally at this point. Any kind of service, any kind of creative work, any kind of traditional work can be sold digitally. So when you would start thinking about the digital aspect, you would now, in addition to your career, so for example, if you are an accountant, in addition to being an accountant, you will have to learn how to sell your knowledge online. You would need to learn how to market yourself, and you would need to create a digital presence, right? Because what's going to happen with the advancement of internet over the next 10-20 years is that majority of the things that we see which are still not digitalized are going to be digitalized in some way or some form, or they are going to be at least sold online. Most of it is already happening right now, but I think in 10-20 years it is going to be very important for you to have a digital presence and be on the internet in some form or way to create a business channel out of it. So whatever career you are thinking, add these few skills into the mix and you would be good to go in the digital age as well. Now let me move on to some things that you need to potentially avoid these pitfalls. They are not very obvious in the start, but they do become obvious with time, and it sometimes becomes too late to overcome these pitfalls. So if I look at my example, I was in a law degree and I realized that I am not really enjoying the process of studying law. And when I got some exposure into internships, I realized that it's not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. And by that time, when I finally figured out coding is something that I really enjoy, I sat down and over the next 6 months to a year, I got really deep into coding, and I built an entire app, and I built a startup, and I worked on that startup for like 1.5 years almost. Through this process, I learned a few things, which is that you need to think of your career not as something static, but something very dynamic. It's going to change and evolve with time and with the new opportunities that you're going to explore and the exposure you're going to get in the real world. While it helps you to have a very solid career goal in your mind, more often than not, you need to have this dynamic aspect in yourself where you're able to shift between different type of things as you go. Second thing is that the more you enter the realities of life and explore the practical aspect of it, you are going to see that practice versus theory, they are both completely different. Things that work in theory don't usually work in practice, and things that work in practice are not usually the considerations for theory. Third thing is that you might feel like the things that you're thinking in your head are the most amazing ones, and there couldn't be anything better out there, or there couldn't be anything better that people could be doing out there. And while it's important to have this self-belief, it's also important to stay in touch with the realities of life. As you you move forward and you explore new avenues, you would see that there are many things that appeal to you and that you are good at, and you will have to make choices and sacrifices over your life in choosing things that you have to do, because these are the things that you enjoy, or maybe you don't enjoy, but because of the need of time you need to earn money, and these are the things that are going to earn you money. So as I close this up, what I really want to emphasize is that don't think of your career solely in terms of money or the enjoyment, but think in terms of both simultaneously and strike a balance there. Second, try to challenge your assumptions and try to go talk to people who can challenge these assumptions for you, and then whatever thing that you end up doing, get into it, learn how this thing actually works, and see if this is something that would work for you. And lastly, always remember that things are going to take time. You cannot become an expert in something overnight. You will have to put in a lot of time, thousands of hours into something to be at the intermediate level or the advanced level in it, and you will have to keep grinding and keep putting in effort. But it all becomes easier if two things are happening, that the thing that you're doing is A, something you enjoy, and B, is something that gives you a good return in terms of money or whatever you desire. With that, I would be back with a more detailed video about these other areas of life. Leaving it there, I hope you are able to figure this out and you are able to make something good for yourself in the long term. And just remember that your short-term actions dictate what you are going to look like in the long term. So prioritize your short-term actions in light of the long-term goals that you have, and simply good luck.